I'm Patricia Xavier. I teach in the College of Engineering. I'm a lecturer there. I've been hired to teach in the College of Engineering. I've been there for 1 year now, and I was hired probably because of my industrial experience. I come from a private company. I've got 3 or 4 modules at the moment. I teach a foundation year module, and that is 170 students who want to go into engineering but they haven't got the maths and physics background. So we take them in for a year in the foundation and we bring up their maths and physics skills. So I teach physics to them. And then I've got a module in level 1 in engineering, and that is for 720 students across all of the College of Engineering. That is a scientific and engineering skills module. So we go through presentation skills, technical report writing skills, programming skills, so they can learn to program using a software called MATLAB, and also about teamwork and self-awareness. My PhD was in flooding, so I was looking at the impact of natural flood management, so restoring floodplain woodland in upland reaches and seeing what impact that had on flooding. And that led to my work in industry. I was working on a lot of flood risk management projects. I also started looking at water infrastructure management, so water supply, wastewater, sewers, sewer treatment works. I don't know if I would, but I think I'm pretty more organised than some of other people, possibly because of my experience in private consultancy, because their time really is money and you're working with big groups of people. So if you are not organised, you're letting not only yourself down, but your team down, your client down, you're losing money, and it's really obvious. So I've got a lot of organisational training, I guess, from that I've managed to bring here, and that has helped a lot. I tend to start really early, so for this semester I started preparing back in June, July, making sure that as far as I could, the lectures and the examples were all pre-prepared. I knew what I was going to say, I knew the examples that I wanted to cover, I knew the key bits of learning that I wanted to get across. For the level 1 module, which is a skills module with a lot of students, it's quite easy to deliver material and deliver content to a lot of students, but making sure that they're actually learning is really tricky, because it's so hard to assess that number of students and do it in an authentic way. So this year, back in June, I sat down and I thought how I wanted to structure it, and I had to do it that early. It took me all summer to do. I devised a series of assessments, so they're now quite heavily assessment modules. I've got 8 assessments. So 8 times 720 students is a lot of assessments to do, but it's been really good because I've noticed such a big difference by making that change and making sure that I arrange the assessments every other week or every week in some case. They get the feedback really quickly, so they know where they are. A lot of it's automated on Blackboard, which really helps. And I use a lot of Blackboard to make my life easier when it comes to the organisation. Some of the assessments are carried out in tutorials with their tutors, and I wanted to give them clear marking guidance for that, so that I knew the marks were pretty consistent across the board. And they had a lot of group work projects. So I prepared all of the assessment summaries in advance and make them all available on Blackboard so that the students know where they are. At the beginning of every lecture I went through all of the active and upcoming assignments, they knew when they were. Another thing that made a big difference this year is I had a completely separate set of assignments for late enrollers, because we get a lot of late enrollers now. Up until week 7, week 8, I had still students coming along, turning up for the first lecture saying, what do I do? And they'd missed 4 or 5 assessments at that point. So back in summer, I'd actually prepared a whole set of separate assessments and tests because I knew this was going to happen, and I could direct them to that, and they would have all the catch-up material, all the second set of assessments. They weren't missing out any marks, they could just do the catch-up in their own time. Only due to the sheer size of the numbers, and little problems get multiplied, because as soon as there's a discrepancy in the information given to the students, I then get hundreds of emails, or lots of forum posts, or lots of questions in the class. And that has happened on occasion. I've just been a bit lax. I've put 2 different dates up for an assignment deadline, and that has caused problems. So things do go wrong. have had complaints about the organisation of modules. I would say that a lot of the time, maybe it's because I haven't made the particularly assessment information available, possibly, so that it's there. I think it used to be hidden in a few folders. I now make sure everything is in the assessment and feedback folder. I do enjoy teaching students, and actually I have to say I really enjoy the foundation year because it's such a mixed bunch. You've got a lot of mature students there who are coming back into education, so they maybe did A-levels years and years and years ago, but they've forgotten pretty much everything. Or they took the wrong A-levels and they want to do engineering now, so they need to do the maths or they need to do physics or both. And what I like about the foundation year is they're really willing to say when they don't know something. So our lectures are always really dynamic and interactive, because if I'm explaining a concept and I'm going too fast, they don't understand, they're really willing to put their hand up and say, can you slow down, can you go over that again? That doesn't tend to happen, I find, in some of the level 1, level 2 groups. I'm not sure why that is, but it does make teaching that group a lot more enjoyable, because I have no problem being stopped to ask to explain or repeat. I want that to happen because I want them to come out learning, and I feel that they do because they're doing that. I really enjoy preparing a good lecture when I've got time to do it, which is why I like doing it over summer, because I've got time to think. Doing a last minute one of the term is not like this at all, but putting a good lecture together is really an art. It's not really a science. You can't just put all the nuts and bolts in. You have to think about how you're going to hook the students, how can they see it's relevant to them, how can you explain it in a way that they can understand, how can you start doing some examples that mean they really feel they can start to use it and add it into their own personal knowledge mix that they have in their head. One thing I keep meaning to do but I haven't quite got around to is get more student feedback within the actual semester itself. So maybe 2 or 3 times during the semester do post-it note surveys or get them to do anonymous online surveys about my teaching, about different topics that I'm teaching. I will try and do that next year. I'll be really interested to see that, and that should help me develop the courses better.